All right, let's begin. So for this week's assignment, we had to make the alarmable property, as well as making the updatable, drawable, and alarmable managers. So alongside that, we had to do delayed registry and deregistry using the command pattern, and also creating the attorney class idioms for any engine functions that we wanted to pass through to other engine classes. So as you can see here, every other second, we are alternating between the frigate being drawn and not drawn. This shows that we can register and deregister to the scene while it is being actively used. So if I just stop here real quick, no leaks. We called the frigate alarm every other second. The plane's alarm was called every second. And the axis alarm was called once at 5 seconds and then never again. So within the scene, we have a bunch of registry and deregistry for the different ubbles. The only difference here is that for the alarmable, we also need to pass through the time so that we know when the alarmable needs to be deregistered. Anytime a ubble wants to request registry or deregistry, they pass it through the scene here, and then it goes to the command pattern. The command pattern has a stack of all the requests, and at the start of the update loop, it checks to see if it's empty. If it's not empty, it takes whatever on the top and then executes the registry or deregistry request before popping it off of the stack. Once that is done, we then process the alarms and then process the updates. For updatable, we have a bunch of asserts added into the code. This makes sure that the user does not try to double register or deregister an object to the scene. So if they try to register something that's not currently deregistered, it crashes, and then vice versa for deregistering an object. And for updatable and drawable, they also have a getter and setter to keep track of where the object is within its manager's list. This allows us to remove it from the list in constant time, which I'll get to in a second. Alarmable slightly different than updatable and drawable in that we also need to keep track of the time for the alarm. That way we know when it needs to be deregistered. For the update manager and also the drawable manager, whenever we register the object, we set the object's reference point to be wherever it's inserted in the list. This allows us to use the erase function rather than the remove function so that we can have constant time for removing instead of linear. And then when we're processing the elements, we just iterate through the list. But once again, the draw manager is identical to the update manager, just swap updates with draws. For the alarm manager, instead, we have inserting. It's a multi-map instead of a list. And when we insert it, we take the time of the current scene and add the offset of the time that we want the timer to go off. This makes it so that the alarmable list is always in order, so that when we process it, instead of iterating through every single alarm, we can instead check the beginning of the list and see that if that time has been met. So if that time is less than the current time in the game, we can store the alarmable at that position, deregister it from the list, and then call the alarm once we deregister it. The reason why we have to deregister first is so that we don't have issues with any repeating alarms trying to register itself to a list twice. So by deregistering it first, whenever it wants to re-register itself, it's already listed as deregistered. For the update and in transit the drawable attorneys, we have the pass-through of the updated draw, as well as setters and getters, and then the scene registration and deregistration, and then the alarm. For the alarm one, we just have the alarm, and then the scene registry and deregistry. And that's it.